another negative, so it just wouldn't work out. I guess is what I'm trying.
It's not possible to take the absolute value of a number and it equals a negative. That's not possible. So when we isolate the absolute value expression, if it equals a negative, we can automatically stop and go, wait, that's no solution. And that's what we write. Just put no solution. Okay. Negative 2x plus 8 absolute value equals 20. So all of this expression is in the absolute value bars, so it's already isolated. So now we're just going to split it into the two different equations. We drop the bars and we put negative 2x plus 8 equals 20. So we take this expression to the positive. We also can take it to the negative since the absolute value in here can be negative. So negative 2x plus 8 equals negative 20. We're going to solve these. Negative 2x equals 12. Therefore, x is going to equal negative 6 when we divide both sides by negative 2. Subtract 8. Negative 2x equals negative 28. Divide both sides by negative 2. X equals positive 14. Now we need to check it. So this was the original. It was also the equation that has this absolute value expression isolated. So that's the one we're going to use no matter what in this one. But in other ones, we'll talk about that. So negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12. 12 plus 8 is 20. The absolute value of 20 is 20. So that works. Negative 2 times 14 is negative 28. Negative 28 plus 8 is negative 20. And the absolute value of negative 20 is positive 20. So that also works. You guys with me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just don't like it when it's all quiet. It's weird. All right, number 6. Any questions? Okay. Absolute value of x minus 4 equals 9. So see how these are related? This one had the absolute value of x minus 4 on the outside. This one's on the inside. Let's see how that changes things. So it's already isolated. We're going to write it into our two different equations. We get x minus 4 equals 9. X minus 4 equals negative 9. Add 4. X equals 13. Add 4. X equals negative 5. Let's check it. 13 minus 4 is 9. Absolute value is 9. Good. Negative 5 minus 4 is negative 9. Absolute value of negative 9 is 9. Good. Notice how one of the answers was the same as this one, but the other one wasn't. You guys tell me why?
Because
go ahead, you guys got to take turns.
Can you repeat the question?
So these were really similar. This -4 was on the outside of the bars, and this one was inside. We got one of the same answers, x equals 13, but the other one was different. And I'm wondering if you can tell me why. Why did this one turn out different?
It's because since both of the numbers were an absolute value, like in the brackets, or not the brackets, but you know what I'm talking about.
Bars, I call them bars.
The bars. Since we had to check and make the absolute value of 9, because it's also -9 from 0. We and the other one we didn't have to do that because only x was in the brackets, so it was just equals 13 and then equals -13, because the absolute value of 13 can also be -13 as well. And then
we had a step here then, didn't we?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's do a few more. And then I do want to look at a couple from our CUDA practice page, because it had some that looked pretty different from these ones. It shouldn't really matter because you've solved equations that look like that before, but I just want to go over it to make sure you understand that there's nothing different, except for you have to break it off into two different equations. So let's see, what do we want to do next? Okay, so we're going to do the 7, I believe. 2 times x plus 8 absolute value equals 20. 8. Down here. I'm just going to write these out. You guys can get your paper set up. Okay, so with these ones, we notice that it's different. It doesn't have plus or minus outside of this expression for absolute value. It has, it's written right next to it. And like I explained before in the video, that is the same as multiplication. We don't need to distribute. That doesn't get us any closer to isolating our absolute value expression. We want this expression isolated, not just the x. So we can just divide by 2 on both sides. And we get 10 on the right side. Now we split it into our two equations. X plus 8 equals 10. X plus 8 equals -10. Solve it. We get x equals 2. Subtract 8 from both sides. Subtract 8 from both sides. X equals -18. Check it. Now here's where there's a lot going on up here. This one is the simplified version after we divided by 2. So this is the one that we want to check with. This is the more complicated one. We don't need to make our lives more complicated. Let's just use this one. 2 plus 8 is 10. 10 equals 10. Good. -18 plus 8 is -10. Absolute value is +10. Good. So both of those check out. Any questions on that one? This is why it's important to show every step, because this is the easiest equation to check your work with. If you're going back up here, you can do it, but you're adding more steps and dealing with bigger numbers, and you don't need to do that to yourself. Okay, same thing here. We're going to divide by 2, cancel out that multiplication. X minus 8, absolute value of that equals 10. See, what's the difference between these two? They're similar.
One is subtracting 8 and one's adding 8.
Hmm. And you guys are going to see when we start graphing these what that difference makes on a graph, whether it's subtraction or addition. Okay, so we get x minus 8 equals 10. X minus 8 equals negative 10. So then x equals 18. When we add 8, x equals negative 2. Are you guys good with me not showing that part? We kind of do it mental math.
Yeah, I don't usually show that part either.
Okay. If you're not, just, take a minute to write it out. I always did that when my teachers would skip steps and I'd be like, no, I need to write it. I need it for myself to make sure I don't mess up. I would always just try to write faster and I would make sure I get my steps in there. Even though the teacher didn't do it. That's just a helpful tip. Okay, I'm boxing in this one because this is the easier one to check your work with, right? It's the one that when you isolated that expression, that's the one you want to check with. It's just easier. So we get 18 minus 8, that's 10, equals 10, good. Negative 2 minus 10 is negative 10, checks out to a positive when it's absolute value, good. Okay. We'll use this color now. All right, so this one has an extra step, right? This is going to change the graph as well. When we get to graphing, you're going to see if you throw a number out there, positive or negative, how does that shift the graph? Okay, so we're going to get rid of this first. We have 5 times the absolute value of x plus 3 equals negative 2. Then we're going to divide everything by 5. I probably shouldn't use this color. You guys probably can't see it very well. So divide by 5, divide by 5. You're left with x plus 3, the absolute value, equals negative 2/5. Uh-oh. Something's wrong. Tell me.
There's a negative. The absolute value equals a negative, so there's no solution.
Thank you. Correct. No solution. Well, that was easy. Because at first you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a fraction. I don't like that. Something's wrong, right? I mean, we could get fractions. It could be possible. We know this. Fractions are numbers too. That our answer will be a fraction, and we do have to plug it in, and it will work out sometimes. It is possible. In this case, we got lucky. Our fraction was negative, and therefore we could just stop. No solution. Okay, we're going to add 8 to both sides. We're left with 3 times the absolute value of x minus 2. Add 8, we get 15 on the other side. This one's nice. We divide by 3. This is pretty because this reduces to 5. Okay. This one is isolated, separated. X minus 2. I really need to turn that off. Equals 5. X minus 2 equals negative 5. X equals 7. X equals negative 3. When we add 2 both sides. Yeah, I'm going to tell you a common mistake that I've seen prior when you guys were solving, and I also did it when I took this lesson quiz about 20 minutes ago. I wanted to see if I wanted to give it to you guys or not. I put the answer as negative 7. Why would I do that? Why might I put a negative 7 here instead of a negative 3?
Oh, because some people make the mistake of subtracting the 2 instead of adding it.
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying, but I think of it more as I added together the -2 and the -5 to get -7.
Well,
Like I added 2 negatives to get more negatives, right? Instead of, because again, that's the downfall of doing it in your head. If I were to write this out, I would have noticed my negative and positive, and I would have known to subtract 5 and 2. But because I did it in my head, I was only looking at a negative symbol and a negative symbol, and I was thinking, oh, I'm going to put those together, and it's -7. And I've seen this a lot. A lot of people make this mistake when they're working out equations. So, and here's the thing. Here is the tricky part now, you guys. We're not in the situation where it's either gonna work and we can go, oh, we made a mistake because it didn't make it true and we know it's supposed to. We don't get that luxury anymore because now we're in a situation where one of them could be a solution and the other one might not. And then we can just say one solution. So I would not have caught this mistake by plugging this in. If I put -7, I just would have been like, oh, well, only this one works then. You see what I'm saying? So it's really important to check your work here, double check it, write it out, maybe write every single little step. Normally you do it in your head, but you could always check it later and find it. Now, you don't necessarily need it. Both of these may not always work. It's possible that way. But when we plug these in, I'm pretty sure they work, right? We're going to use, where's our easy one? This one. This is our simplified equation that we check with. 7 minus 2 is 5, good. -3 minus 2 is -5 equals +5, absolute value, good. Any questions? I'm going to assume you're all rock stars at this then. Okay. Just want to do a couple from the CUDA. CUDA is a practice website where I get a lot of your worksheets from. I love it because it just really helps you guys build fluency. So it gives you lots of different practice problems. They start off easier, they go into the more difficult. We're going to start with ones that looked a bit more difficult since we already covered the easy ones. So actually, I think I have it up here. Hold on. What time does class end?
like 9:56 or something like that.
I thought you said
54.
the Zoom finished at 9:25.
9:54.
No, Zoom doesn't finish at 9:25.
It says-
Your Monday and Tuesday Zoom was more of a check-in, but we're now in direct instruction Zooms because we don't have time to not do this.
Oh, you put 9:10 and 9:25.
Where?
Go to Zoom, the channel Zoom meetings, and then Thursday 1-7. And it says third period 9:10 to 9:25.
Oh, that was a mistake. I put that for Thursday?
Mhm.
That doesn't make sense. Okay. Ooh, those were the inequalities. Inequalities were also part of this, and we're going to go over that on Thursday. I want to just focus on the equations right now, but there's nothing, I teach you in the Nearpod, so there's nothing really to go over. Like, you guys should have it down. It's only a little bit of a difference from what we're already doing, but we'll clarify that next time. Okay, no, I'm still in, hold on. I'm trying to find this page. That's inequalities. Here we go. Okay, I like this one. So this will be number 11. We have a minus 5, the absolute value, divided by 8 equals 5. So this one it has our expression being divided, so we know what to do. We're going to multiply both sides by 8. And that's what we get. Those cancel. Then we have a minus 5 equals 40. A minus 5 equals negative 40. Now these problems are from your Nearpod, so if you didn't already do them, at least you have like a, this to reference when you get to this, if you need it. Hopefully you don't by then. So then we add 5, so a equals 45. We add 5, a equals negative 35. Negative 40 plus 5 is negative 35. And then we look and we go, oh, that's too much going on. Here's where we simplified it. We're going to check with that one. 45 minus 5 is 40. Yes. Negative 35 minus 5 is negative 40. That's the absolute value is 40. Pretty simple, I think. Stop me if you have any questions. We're almost done. We're going to do one more. Absolute value of x divided by 7 minus 8 equals negative 7. You guys can still see my video, right?
Yeah, we can still see your video.
Okay, cool. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so add 8 to both sides. We get the absolute value of x divided by 7 equals 1. Now we split this. Multiply both sides by 7, x equals 7. Multiply both sides by 7, x equals negative 7. Seven divided by 7 is 1. Negative 7 divided by 7 is negative 1. Absolute value of negative 1 is 1.